A split-second decision has cost a 13-year-old boy his life in Melbourne's north. The popular student was with friends when he dashed across an intersection and straight into the path of a P-plater.
A young life taken in an instant. 13-year-old Marty was killed after he was hit by a car in Roxburgh Park.
My heart broke when I first found out.
The Year 7 student was with friends when he ran across Somerton Road last night, his view obscured by a bus. He was struck by a car travelling through a green light. The impact so forceful his shoe was found 20 metres away.
After a couple of minutes his family passed and then there was all crying, there was a bit sad situation.
The P-plate driver stopped immediately and despite the desperate efforts of paramedics, Marty couldn't be saved. Today, friends came to the scene with flowers and handwritten messages.
I've just been crying most of the first period and all the second period. Marty is like one of the best friends I've ever had in my whole life.
The other day, we were laughing, talking after school. I just feel like it's a dream that he's dead. I can't believe that he's gone now.
Video of the incident shows the 18-year-old driver had 0.16 of a second to react, all but impossible. He stopped to render assistance but had to be taken to hospital himself, suffering shock.
Every single one of his family members, I hope they stay strong.
As tonight, a bedroom sits empty and a family grapples with the loss of a child. Geordie Wright, 7 News.
A hero trader has died in hospital just days after trying to stop accused teenage shoplifters. Live to Laura Turner in Sunshine. Laura, charges have now been upgraded.
They have, Karina. Van Viet Trung is a Sunshine trader who ran to the aid of a fellow shopkeeper here on Hampshire Road on Saturday when she was being allegedly attacked by a gang of youths. That is when he suffered catastrophic injuries and, as you've just said, has now died in hospital. Premier Ben Carroll was here in a visit unannounced today, briefly making comments and laying flowers alongside the Brimback Mayor. They've remembered this man as a really dedicated father who worked 7 days a week and dedicated a lot of his time to the retail strip here in Sunshine.
A good Samaritan, Viet, a community hero, a local grocer for 30 years in Sunshine, through senseless act of violence.
It's a turning point for us. We can't make this to be something that's happened in vain, that we need more police on the beat in our city precincts. We need more resources and we need prevention programs.
A group of teenagers has already faced court over this attack earlier this week, including a 12-year-old facing charges like intentionally causing serious injury and affray. Since this shopkeeper has passed away, the charges for one of those teens has now been upgraded to manslaughter, and we expect them back in court tomorrow. Back to you.
Laura, thank you.
Ben Carroll has been dragged into IBAC's corruption probe, which uncovered serious and concerning conduct under Daniel Andrews, the new Premier accused of protecting the only public servant involved who still works for the government.
The day after damning findings against Daniel Andrews and some of his team, Government Minister Vicky Ward wanted to talk about a new train timetable coming soon.
So over 400 services will be seen across not just the metro train lines but also regional.
What derailed the government's message was the release of IBAC's Operation Richmond report, which found serious and concerning conduct by the then Premier, Special Minister of State Gavin Jennings and Senior Public Servant Tony Bates in secret EBA negotiations with the boss of the Firefighters Union, Peter Marshall. Only one still works for government, Tony Bates, now Secretary of the Department of Education.
Tony Bates has taken leave at the moment.
By the end of the day yesterday, Ben Carroll should have sacked Mr Bates.
The opposition says this is why that didn't happen.
Congratulations also to Mr Anthony Bates. I'm extremely proud to be able to call him a friend.
They are mates, which only proves why no action was taken by the Premier against his good mate.
The behaviours that have been outlined in Operation Richmond, as I understand it, are not acceptable.
3 months ago, a $134,000 statue for Daniel Andrews was announced because, like them, he was Premier for more than 3,000 days. 7 News has been told its production hasn't yet started and it's now on hold. But that happened before the IBAC report's release. Do you think it's appropriate he has a statue?
Look, I'm not going to talk about a statue. I think train services for people are far more important.
He certainly doesn't deserve Ben Carroll unveiling a statue to him.
Paul Dowsley, 7 News.
Arsonists have torched a second Genesis gym in 3 days. The Maidstone site was set alight around 12:30 this morning. It took crews more than an hour to bring the inferno under control.
It's significant, it's shocking, I'm speechless. Jiu-jitsu is one of the most, positive things that, people do, and, to wake up to news like that, I reckon it's just disgusting.
On Tuesday, the Genesis at Taylor's Lakes was also targeted. The company's CEO says the 2 locations operate as different franchises.
Dumped Hall of Famer Nicky Winmar has covered his ears in court as his victim gave a harrowing account of how her life has changed since the attack. Prosecutors want him jailed, but Winmar's lawyer says he's already been punished in the court of public opinion.
For the first time, Nicky Winmar walked into court unable to claim innocence, and the tension showed.
Can you go away? Can you go away, please?
Prosecutors argued he should be jailed for a vicious assault on a woman.
This is a significant fall from grace, Nicky. Do you regret your actions at all?
The fallen AFL star attacked the woman at a Kahuna motel last year, dragging her by the hair and slamming her head into a door 4 times.
Do you accept responsibility, Mr. Winmar?
Today, the victim faced him in court to read her victim impact statement, saying she's a shadow of the person she once was, suffers ongoing pain and frequent panic attacks. I will always be seated facing the door so I can see who comes in and out. I was never like this before. Winmar blocked his ears as the woman described how the assault has fundamentally changed her quality of life. The magistrate has ordered he be assessed for a CCO and will return to court at the end of the month. Winmar's lawyer argued he shouldn't serve any jail time and that his client had suffered significant punishment already in the court of public opinion.
How do you feel about your statue being removed from outside Optus Stadium? How do you feel about being removed from the Hall of Fame?
He'll learn his fate on August 28th. Georgia Bennett-Murphy, 7 News.
Pauline Hanson has blamed Australia's struggles with homelessness on migration. The One Nation leader's comments blasted by Labor as stupid and divisive.
Struck by the growing number of Australians sleeping rough.
It is a crying shame in a perceived country like us that's supposed to be wealthy that we have families living in tents, and especially children.
The cause, she says, excessive migration that she would slash.
My concern is for those Australians that can't get a roof over their head and a decent standard of living and way of life.
The government and economists warn, though, that her deep cuts would cause a skills crisis, ignite social unrest and potentially tank the economy, running businesses out of business.
I don't care what people think, whether, it's going to affect their businesses. They're not going to sell that many products, or the universities, because they won't have the number of foreign students coming in here. I don't care.
In the Western Sydney seat of Fowler, held by independent MP Di Lee, herself a refugee, 77% of parent couples were both born overseas. The area's biggest employers, food and textile manufacturers.
Predominantly, when you go into a factory, they're all migrants working in there. Those are the people that are building the nation.
Homelessness is a growing problem in Australia, with an average of 3,000 people seeking help every hour. But the government says in blaming migration, Pauline Hanson is simply dog whistling.
I mean, what a stupid and divisive thing to say. Now, all it shows is that Pauline Hanson, yet again, doesn't know what she's talking about.
We don't need any more Uber drivers, nail technicians, dog walkers. These people, gone. Stop all that.
The government defending Cabinet's decision to delay its migration reforms, which were to be unveiled by Home Affairs Minister Tony Burke today.
Tony Burke will be speaking at the National Press Club at the earliest opportunity.
But not before the policy detail is triple checked.
Well, this does smack of politics. They've realised that there is a problem.
A problem the government does not want to make worse.
Live to Mark Riley in Canberra now. Mark, some encouraging news today on the economy.
Yeah, Mike, Standard & Poor's is tonight reaffirming Australia's AAA credit rating. Despite the continuing cost of living crunch, our economy still retains top-tier status now among all three ratings agencies. And why is that so significant? Well, because it means Australia pays a lower interest rate on its international debt and becomes more attractive to global investors. Only 9 major economies enjoy complete AAA status, and the US under Donald Trump is not one of them.